Okay, fifth graders, today we're going to be working on our characters, our photography characters. Remember we talked about the artist Mark Mariano and how he put these characters into different types of scenes with photographs behind them. And we also talked about Marty Cooper and how he kind of uses these plastic sheets of characters to put them in different environments and take photographs. So you're going to finish working on your brainstorming today, and you need to answer these 3 question sections here. So what your character or characters are going to be, you can have one or multiple. What your setting or settings are going to be, so whether it's an area of the classroom or whether it's a printed photograph like this artist. And then number 3, what stories are you trying to tell? So what is each photograph trying to show or tell the audience? So you should just give a little tiny blurb about what each of the 4 or more photographs is trying to tell. So remember, you have to do 4 photographs in the end, and you have to have at least 1 character. So after this is done, what you're going to do is continue working on sketching out and painting your characters today on your plastic sheets. So everybody should have gotten one of these plastic sheets last week. It's attached to a white piece of paper. If you don't have this, there's more on the shopping cart. What you want to do first is sketch your character on the white piece of paper with a pencil or Sharpie. As soon as you have all the details sketched, what you're going to do is transfer that sketch onto your plastic. So it's going to look kind of like this in the end. It's all painted with that acrylic paint that we talked about last week. So what I would do first is take a Sharpie and just outline your details. So just take a Sharpie and go over all of your little line details onto the plastic. You can do this with a paintbrush and black paint, but I think it's just easier to do this with Sharpie. So see how when I use Sharpie, the lines of my character are transferring? So just transfer all the lines first. So once you've transferred all the lines, let's just pretend I've done all of that. You're going to use the acrylic paint now to just paint in your character. So what this does is it allows your character to be not see-through anymore. So you can put it in different environments and it won't be see-through. So you can use the acrylic paint bottles or you can use the paint markers. They both have acrylic paint in them. And remember, acrylic paint sticks to the plastic really nicely. It's not washable. So be careful with this paint today because it will not come out of your clothes. You can also use a little paper plate to mix up some colors if you need to, and a small brush, probably no bigger than this size. So let's say I wanted to start to paint my character's skin pink and I wanted to use the bottles of acrylic paint to mix up a pink. So I'm just going to take the paint here and squeeze some onto my paper plate. If you have one that's not open yet, just take the little plastic sheets off the top. You do not need more than a tiny, tiny little drop of paint because this paint goes a long way and your character should be pretty small. So I would not squirt more than like the size of your pinky finger. So that's probably enough. And I'm going to mix up some pink, so I just want to have a little bit of white on here as well. Okay, so once I have that, I can mix it just like regular paint. So I can take some red and some pink and put it in a, or red and white and put it in a pile and make pink. Okay, once I have the shade that I like, take your brush and just paint right onto your plastic. So taking my plastic here, I'm just gonna paint whatever area I want to be pink. Now this is a special type of paint that you can't use a lot of water with it because the water doesn't like to stick to the plastic. So if you have to wash the color off your brush, you need to wash your brush and then dry it off so it's not really drippy on the plastic. And notice how this paint is a little bit thicker and it makes these kind of like streaky lines. You might want to do a couple smooth strokes around each area so you don't have a big bunch of clumps in each area. Okay, so I can continue painting that pink. So that's how the acrylic paint looks on the plastic. You can also use the paint markers. This is just like a regular marker, but there's paint inside. So when you use this marker, the paint that's inside will come out when you press down on the tip of the marker. So what you have to do to get the marker working is you have to just kind of press it a few times, and that will allow the paint to come down to the bottom. So the more you press it, the more paint will come down to the bottom. Some of these might be out of paint ink, so if it is, just try and get a new color here. But the more you press the tip down, then you'll have a little bit more paint coming out like this. So when it starts to work, you might want to practice this on a scrap paper before you actually use it in your plastic, but it's just like a regular marker. So if you have maybe some difficulty painting, You might want to try the paint markers because it can get you a little bit more of a exact colorful area. See, now it's coming out really well. So it does come out kind of fast. The more you press it again, the more is going to come out. So just kind of try and spread this out just like you would with a paintbrush. So see, it just looks just the same as the other acrylic paint. It's just in a marker form. Okay, if I have finished a whole character drawing and painting it today, just put your name on the back of the white paper, and you're gonna lay this on the drying rack to dry for next week. If you have 2 characters to paint, you can get another sheet of white and plastic together, sketch your character and paint that one as well. So that's all we're gonna work on today. If you finish drawing and painting all of your characters, you can pick a free choice activity and then wait for next week.